Should you be worried about deploying the DeepSeek model for use in your organization? That was a question that came across as some internal chatter, and I thought it'd be useful to share with you and make sure what's clear around how you can use some of these new emerging AI models, not just from DeepSeek, but from OpenAI and Meta and so forth, and what the difference is between what you use from the website to what you can use in something like Azure Public Cloud and other public cloud providers. So my name is Peter and I help organizations with everything around data analytics and AI in the Microsoft ecosystem. And I just want to take you through, I guess, the differences that public services like ChatGPT or DeepSeek provide versus those that you might want to deploy with your own corporate data. Because there's a bit of confusion, and I've seen it a few times, but I want to just relay it here. I'm going to oversimplify it. So it's not going to be technical, but hopefully it's enough to give you a sense if you're still a bit unsure. So on the left here, pretty much when you go to use ChatGPT or potentially DeepSeek, what you're using is a service provided by that service provider. So you interface with your app on your phone or with the web browser, and that provides a nice sort of experience, chat experience that you can use to interact. And with interaction, it's managing, storing data about you, interactions, your conversations, your history, and it's using this model it's built. So it might be the OpenAI's 4.0, for example, and it's providing the large language model that works on the request you're providing, the data you've given it, and then its reasoning and so forth. It can go browse online or access other things depending on how you've got it configured. Or you can use it through an API, of course, as well, so that way to bring it in. In this scenario, you're putting all your trust and faith in the service provider to make sure your data is secure. Now, there are settings inside of ChatGPT, because I do use that, where you can say, I don't want to use my data for training. And so you tick that box and you can use it, but it's not being fed back to reinforce the model for ongoing improvement. But your data is out of your control. You really rely on that service provider and the terms and conditions they've set to make best use of that data. You don't have any control of that. All you have control is what you feed in it from the user point of view, which is why it can be a problem. We've seen public use cases where IP has been pushed into these things through the interface and then forms part of the training that then comes surfaced for other people to use. So you be careful with your privacy settings on that. Now, if you're thinking about, well, I don't want to do that, I want to create my own experience that we can use for enterprise-wide and keep that secure, then you can use something like your own Azure tenancy, for example, that will ensure your data is maintained within your boundary. And this is really the key difference here. Now, very clearly your data will be inside of a tenancy. So this is the isolation that a cloud hypervisor provides, like Azure. You deploy your apps, deploy your data, but the model you're deploying is actually deployed to your tenancy as well. All right? It's not one sitting outside that's commonly shared for everyone to use. It is only what you provision. That takes compute, so there is a compute charge for that, and there's different ways of doing it through tokens. I think there's just kind of the PTU is the acronym. Provision throughput units, I think, is the term. For example, in Azure for OpenAI, but you can also bring other models as well. Meta, DeepSeek, the model for it that we've heard about in the news recently, and it's not talking back out to the internet, back to home. None of these models do, because your boundaries are managed by the cloud service provider to ensure data protection, and they're all audited to like ISO 27001 to make sure that everything's compliant. Now, big end of town customers wouldn't use Azure, AWS, other cloud providers if this wasn't true. So the fact that, and the announcement this week, which caused the discussion internally, was that, well, if we deploy DeepSeek because it's made available on Microsoft for your use. If you deploy that, then there's the potential that your data will get used. That's not the case, because there's no way Microsoft security team or any other cloud provider team will allow your data to be seen back to any of the model providers in this case. So you can deploy the DeepSeek model in your environment, just as you can deploy onto your own hardware, which is, I think, part of the attractiveness is it can run on, doesn't need massive amounts of compute to be able to be effective. So think about that. There's over like 1,800 models currently in the Azure ecosystem. Microsoft don't make them. It's a lot of other LLM providers have crafted these, and you can build your own too if you like. That takes enormous effort and compute to do so. So it's attractive to find ones in a model catalog, but the model as a service feature with Azure AI Foundry lets you do exactly that, and then test those and try it out. And what's attractive is that the price point for running something like DeepSeek versus OpenAI could be worthwhile to consider if the performance is on par. So that's why it's attractive to think about, well, should I be running that because it's cheaper to run? So employ you do your own testing in your own scenario, but certainly understand inside of our cloud provider for enterprise customers, that data is safe and secure. You certainly follow the terms and conditions, check with your legal experts, but when you use a service provider, you're putting the hands in the service provider to maintain that. You provide the hands of a cloud provider to do as well, but you've got extra protections by your tenancy and isolation that is built into that to manage your data, and there's extra provisions around specifically for you as the customer that you can be aware of as well. So hopefully, if you were a bit confused, it clears it up, or you learned something out of this. If you like the video, please hit that thumbs up button, helps me know this is of interest, and be sure to subscribe for any further updates.